It's time to clean the board. Time to clean the board. What should be the next topic? What y'all want to talk about? Y'all want to talk about recruiting? Let's do it. Let's talk player development and recruiting. All right, today we're going to talk about player development and recruiting. This is something I'm excited to talk about. I haven't talked about it on this channel in detail, and I just kind of, nothing against recruiting. I just never thought, let me talk about it. And I just thought about all the great people I work with in recruiting and all the people in player development who have some type of recruiting aspect or other duty as assigned. And I said, let me dive into this. And so we're going to dive into this in a couple areas. But before we get into recruiting, some of you all who may not be familiar with the college football aspect saying, why would I spend an episode talking about recruiting? Well, a lot of people say that recruiting is the lifeblood of a college football program. You got to get the players in. I worked for one coach who told the coaches, he said, you could be a bad coach, but if you're a great recruiter, you got a spot here. He said, if you're a great coach and a bad recruiter, it's going to be tough for you to be here. I remember hearing that and being like, wow. Now, what I would submit to you is if recruiting is the lifeblood of of a college football program, I would say that player development is or are the veins that hold all that together. So you bring it in as the lifeblood, veins got to hold it together. Player development can do that through retention and other ways. So I've always said that whenever I ask for resources in this area, because recruiting, their stats would grow immensely. I know some of y'all checked out the player development growth podcast. You can find it here. But their stats would grow. And so I would ask for help. And I would say, talk to my chief of staff or director of football operations or AD and say, hey, it'd be great to get someone in player development. Well, recruiting is the lifeblood of the program. We got to get someone there. I would say that's true. Player development is the veins or are the veins of the program. So we need someone here to help me help retain and keep all this flowing effectively. But anyway, shout out to all those who worked in recruiting. I'll do a roll call a little later for every single person that I've worked with. My number one guy working in recruiting is my guy, Alex Brown. Hope you're watching this. I'm going to bring Alex on the podcast. He had me on twice for his. We talked about player development and personnel. So I'm going to bring him on to talk about it on this podcast. You can find those two podcasts in the show notes. Today we're talking recruiting, so let's jump into it. And what we're going to do is we're going to break down the 4 areas that player development helps recruiting and some of the things that you need to know. So the first thing we're going to jump onto, if anybody doesn't know, is the recruiting calendar. The recruiting calendar. So we're going to talk about the recruiting calendar. I'm going to jump on my computer. I'm going to screen share, walk you through the recruiting calendar and tell you what you can do during that time from the player development position to help in recruiting. Let's dive in and let's talk about the recruiting calendar. Let me go to my desk. All right, so we're going to talk about the calendar. Let's jump in. I'm going to load here a calendar from the NCAA. You can find this calendar at the NCAA website. All I have to do is type in 2024, whatever sport, recruiting calendar. It'll have it there, but make sure you type in 2024 to 2025. All right, so let's pull it up here. And so this is what you will see here. So right there, as you can see, right here, you have the different sports. So I'm gonna go football bowl subdivision, FBS. So those are teams that play in a bowl. And so you can see here, we have this incredible document, once again, provided by the NCAA that goes over the different periods you have in recruiting. So as we look at this document, let me zoom in a little bit. As we look at this document, it tells us, it kind of goes to the calendar, what a dead period is, quiet period, evaluation period, dead period, quiet period, dead period, quiet period, contact period, quiet, dead, quiet. It works itself throughout the year. Now, this is one thing I love. I always had this part hung in my office. Let me zoom out, but this had the entire year. So the football year started in August all the way up till July. You had this, I would hang this in my room and it's color coded based off the periods. Now you may be saying, okay, awesome. You're talking about these periods. You're talking about a quiet period. You're talking about how to get over here. Let me see. Use this at the bottom. Does it have a? There we go. All right. So you may say, you're talking about a quiet period, a dead period, different things like that. So we're gonna define them right here. So let's get in a little closer. There it is. Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna read what they say, and then I'll kind of give a grasp of, what it means or break them down to a more concise level. And the reason why we're talking about this calendar, this is very, very, and let me stop share and talk about it real quick. This is very, very necessary to you in a role. You're going to, as I've said multiple times, you're going to have to recruit in the role. You're going to have to help recruiting. And so understanding the calendar helps you prepare for what you need to do and how you can affect the program through recruiting. So let's go back to the share here. And I don't know where it is. All right, perfect. There we go. All right, so a quiet period. It says a quiet period is that period of time when it is permissible to make in-person recruiting contacts only on the member institution's campus. No in-person off-campus recruiting contacts or evaluations may be made during the quiet period. Now, before I dive into this, if there's anybody in compliance, or anybody that's still in recruiting that understands more than me, please correct me if necessary. I'm sticking back to what I know and what I'm reading. But the quiet period, let's basically break this down. This is when recruits can come to your campus. They can come to your campus. Okay. So you're looking at, so if you look here, all right, so that's August. Now, August, some of you all know August 1st through the 31st is a dead period. It used to be open. That was tough in player development recruiting because we had fall camp going on and we had to prepare for recruits. That was tough, but then they stopped it. But they have this waiver here if you have a game that occurs in August or September 1st or the 2nd, where you have a 48-hour rule where you can have recruits on campus. But so quiet period, as you see here, goes on. Let's go back to this document here. What is this? 250. All right, perfect. I'll come back out. All right. So you see the quiet period. So you can have people on your campus December, okay, March. So this is most of spring ball when all the recruits come for spring ball. We did some official visits during this time in December. Okay, you have some more kids that can come on your campus during spring ball. You got the spring games, gonna be somewhere here in April. And then June, because you have camps. You have camps. So that is the quiet period where students come on your campus. Once again, they can come to your campus. That is a big thing. So you need to prepare for that. We're going to talk about communication here in a little bit, but you need to prepare if you're in a player development role, knowing that they can come to campus. Like I said, December could be official visits. March is going to be camps. Excuse me, not camps, but spring ball, April, spring ball, June, official visits, camps, different things like that. I think you could possibly get a couple official visits. It's been a while since they've changed it. But yeah, you need to prepare for that because there's going to be a time where maybe there's some dead time where they want you to present. So when I knew we're in the quiet period, I knew not only were players coming, I knew their coaches were coming, I knew their friends were coming, I knew family members were coming to our campus. So I was prepared to talk about player development or have a player or talk about what programming we're doing with a player as a player passes by, right? So I was prepared for conversations that would deal with player development during that time. All right, now, so the next thing they have here that the NTA has, so let's go back to the 250 and then scroll over a little bit to format dev player. All right. A dead period is that period of time when it is not permissible to make in-person recruiting contacts or evaluations on or off the member institution's campus, or to permit official or unofficial visits by prospective student athletes to the institution's campus. That one's pretty self-explanatory. There's a dead period. You cannot do anything on or off campus. So like I said, the dead period here, was in August. So during fall camp, there's nobody can be on campus, right? We go back to this calendar here. Nobody red is dead period, so nobody can be on campus unless you have a game. But this is nobody can be on campus. We can't go into their campus. They can't come to ours. Okay, you got December. Nobody can be on campus here, and then it opens up for a little bit, and then of course with the holidays, nobody's on campus. You got early January, And then some other dates there in January, nobody on campus. February, you got National Signing Day coming up somewhere here, or excuse me, there's also National Signing Day in December, but you have the main one, or the one most people are used to, in February. So that's a dead period as well. Got a couple dates in March, opens up, and then all of July. So one thing that has been very, very beneficial to, I know we enjoyed a lot as it was starting to move to this as I transitioned out of Baylor, but having that July and August, or I think July, they just added, because we would always do a camp in July. So they just added that. So that's awesome. So giving coaches those 2 months of not having to deal with recruiting on campus. Now, of course, you're still recruiting overall because you're always recruiting. So what I did in this role during this time, if there were recruits, you could have certain contacts with them through social media. It was social media. It was, this is what we're doing. I'm doing a lot of stuff of like, hey, let's put out this video. Let's put out this. Let's put out this thing that we're doing here in the community. Let's put out this thing that we're doing in career development, or this internship or externship. Now you're starting to do a lot of stuff through social media. I'm letting coaches know, hey, coach, this is what we did. This is what we're doing. Because once again, we're still trying to recruit, excuse me, recruit without the recruit being on campus. So you're always recruiting in the role, always. All right, let's go to the next here. If you learn anything, please press the like button and share. Please press the like button and share. And I'll stop right here and say, let me stop share. So y'all, if you have any questions about this and you're in the role, or you're going to get into the role on campus, get with your compliance department. They are there to help. I work with some incredible compliance departments, and it is super necessary to get the help you need from those compliance departments. When I first started, Lauren DeBose was huge for me, huge, helped me so much in the role to understand what I was doing. And just, it was a lot. It was a lot. Some of you all know from an earlier podcast I did, when I actually got into the role, I was the reason why the head coach had a violation. So it's a funny deal. When I met Lauren, she was like, you're the reason he has a violation. So really, really great people there. So you want to definitely reach out to people. And when I was at University of Houston, Ted and Stephanie, a lot of people that were great for me. So I appreciate them. KU, it was David Reed, Paul, Jeff was great. And then also at Baylor, had some great people there as well. All right, so let me dive back into this share. All right, evaluation period. An evaluation period is that period of time when it is permissible for authorized athletics department staff members to be involved in off-campus activities designed to assess the academic qualifications and the playing ability of a prospective student athlete. So prospective student athlete, we ever see that, just think recruit that could come to your campus. No in-person off-campus recruiting contact shall be made with the prospective student athlete during a evaluation time. Okay. So this basically is just coaches on the road, and they can go to schools. That's it. That's it. They can go to schools and they can learn about the academics. So when I was in a high school role, before I got in player development, I handled recruiting. I was a recruiting coordinator. So they would come to our campus. I had the the transcripts ready, and then they would see them at practice. That was about it. So we couldn't, there was no, that was it. They just had to be on campus. Wasn't no in-home visits, which we'll talk about next, but it was straight up and down. Hey, we're going to come by your campus, and, that's that. So they're assessing academics. So they're in there talking to teachers, counselors, all of that. So if you're a high school coach listening to this, hey, they ask. So that starts in September. So at the time of this recording, it is September 1st, September 2nd. It's Labor Day. So now coaches will be going to schools. They're going to go into schools mostly during the college football season. So you've got September, October, and November where they can go to campus. It's also open where still during this time, students could come to games, but this is when coaches get on the road. Now, how does that affect? So you see that there, that's really the big time. So they're going for academics here during the season. Now, you may say, how does that affect player development? One thing that we talked about, and I'll talk about this once again in communication, is we had
Coaches will ask, "Hey Jones, what do I need to tell them? What do I need to tell them on the road? Hey, tell them this. Tell them this." Sorry, y'all. If you can't hear the record, I've been talking away from the mic, but I would say, hey, tell them these are the three things we're going to do in player development. We're going to take care of them. They're going to take care of the community. We'll take care of them after they're done playing. And so you have opportunity through your coaches to really push player development. I would print stuff out and give that to coaches. Once again, we'll talk about that later in communication and say, hey, let them know this is what we're doing. And I'm also on social media. So a coach will be like, hey, Jones, we want to connect you with this coach or this player. I'm there. I'm putting things out. But just being there to help coaches as they go into these campuses and they're talking to staff members, parents, whoever, not parents, unless a parent works in the school, but coaches, you got to have another plan there as well. And then finally, when we talk about the recruiting calendar, once again, please, if anybody has anything to say who's still in the role, I am not the expert on this. There are a lot of great experts on this. Let's go 250 again. All right. So a contact period is a period of time when it's permissible for authorized athletics department staff members to make in-person off-campus recruiting contacts and evaluations. So now this is where you see the home visits, when coaches go on the home visits and they're in the home and grandma done cook the spread and all that. Now they're being able to go in the house and sit down. This is very important with player development because now the parents get to hear. So previously they're at the school and they're telling the player and hoping the player gets that back to the parent. Hey, this is what we do for you on campus, player development, different things like that. So you see in January, coaches hit the road to recruit. Now they can also get into the homes that Saturday before signing day week there. Once again, April after spring ball for coaches, most people play their spring game around these first 2 weekends and they get on the road. They're able to get in those houses all the way up till May, get out on the road. This is one reason why we have the player development conference at this time, or summit, player development summit at this time, is because coaches are hitting the road and those that are in the role have a little more, they're still doing things to have a little more space. But it is important, and I'll talk about it once again in communication, that you get ahead of your coaches on the road and say, hey, coach, this is what we can do for player development. This is how I can help. This is what you need. Tell them this. Take this with you. This is huge because now they're in the home. Mom's going to ask, how are you going to take care of my son? Grandma's going to ask, how are you going to take care of my grandbaby? All of that, right? Dad's going to ask, how are you going to take care of my son? Big sister, big brother, whoever, guardian, family member, whoever is going to ask those questions, and you have an opportunity to then give that information to coaches. So coaches aren't sitting there scratching their head like, well, yeah, player development is this. No, you can have a meeting before coaches hit the road. Say, coach, I just want to give y'all one pager or one slide about what we do in player development. This is how we get it done, right? That helps. The recruiting department, helps everybody because now it is a full program sell. So that is how the recruiting calendar can affect the role and how you can take advantage of the recruiting calendar in the role. If you have more questions, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's there. Also, if you like that, please hit the like button and subscribe. We're about to move on to visits. Yes, visits. What do you do during that period of, I believe it was evaluation period, or those periods where they can be on campus? We're going to talk about it. Hey.
Are you enjoying this breakdown? Are you enjoying the screen shares, the knowledge, you seeing the documents, me taking time to sit down with you and walk you through the topic that we're talking about? Well, if you are enjoying this, you would love the Player Development Academy. The Player Development Academy will provide these types of experiences for you. We'll help you find clarity, direction, and elite communication in the role to create the impact you want to create in the lives of athletes. For the last 3 years of building Beyond the Field, I have gotten numerous questions about this position, and this academy is built to answer every question that I have and ensure that you, who would be a part of the academy, will be fully prepared for the player development opportunity when it comes for you. So if you're interested in the Player Development Academy, join the wait list. Click the link in the show notes. It's only 15 spots. It's going to be a very intimate, close, organic group, and we're going to grow together. But I want to see you there. join the wait list. All right, that's the recruiting calendar. And if you're listening to this in the audio version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Amazon, whatever, I would encourage you to check out the YouTube channel so you can see some of the stuff that you heard. But so that's the calendar. If you learn anything from that, please, please, please like this video right now. So let's step into the second thing we'll talk about. The second thing we'll talk about is or are visits. Visits. This is a huge part of recruiting. And we're going to talk about multiple visits that happen. And so when we say visits, I know some can think unofficial or official, you know that, but I'm talking about every single time a prospective student athlete steps on your campus. So all of those opportunities will fall under visits. Now, I'm gonna jump back on my computer, screen share, and talk about different things, show you some itineraries and some tricks and tips about what we did on those visits. So let's go to the computer.
All right, so now we're going to talk about visits. We're going to talk about visits so you have them on campus. The first thing we're going to talk about is the official visit. This is when you can get them. You can pay for their travel. You can pay for them to eat. You get the family members. It's changes every year, but you can bring a certain amount of family members there. You fly them out. This is when you are giving them everything. You're like, hey, you're putting your best foot forward. So we'll talk about official visits. I'll start with this first document here. This is a document from, and let me make this bigger, all right. So this is a document from compliance. And so it talks about the number of official. Now this one's dated because this is from a while back and it changes every year, but you can see it has guidelines on meals, what we can do in entertainment, transportation, lodging. Oh, that was not supposed to happen. All right, lodging, student host, recreation, what we can do on social media, comp tickets, phone calls, decorations, photographs, and parking. So this was important because we did not want to get a violation. I will say that again. You do not want to get a violation. I never wanted a coach to come and say, hey, Jones, what happened, or any of us, but this is great guidelines for all of us just to know. And I forgot to say this earlier, but you're going to take a recruiting test. I took a recruiting test. Everybody has to take it. This test verifies that you can do certain things recruiting wise on campus and be around prospective student athletes, but also can give you opportunity to hit the road and recruit, which I thought I was this close to doing when I was at the University of Houston. And Coach Tom Herman went to the University of Texas. Coach Todd Orlando was our head coach. And a lot of coaches left with Coach Herman to Texas. And Alex Brown was running pretty much all our recruiting efforts. And so I remember him being like, hey, you want to get on the road and recruit? I was like, yeah, let's go. I get to get on the road and recruit. I had just finished being a high school head coach. So I was going to go back and talk to my high school coaches. And Coach Orlando came in and was like, Ed, I need you to make sure these guys can make it to the game. So you're going to be solely focused on their academics. And I was like, that was my first chance. But I actually did get to go to a game to watch Elijah Gooden, who signed with us at the University of Houston. I got to watch a playoff game, and a player on the other team saw me. He was like, man, why you didn't come see me? But that was a pretty cool experience. But that was all because I passed my recruiting test. So that recruiting test is huge to pass. All right. So like I said, those are tips from compliance. I'm going to stop share here to go to our next one here. All right, so this next one here is going to be just a quick overview. So this is a quick official visit overview, basically stating like, hey, this is what we would do. This is how we're going to get things done. I'm going to make it big like this. All right, so you kind of see staff arrives at hotel. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday combo. You have official visit, welcome, depart, all this, telling you where to be, where not to be. So what I was looking for was opportunities, right? Where are opportunities where parents can get confused, players can get confused, and I could be there to support people. The big thing was loading buses. That was always bigger, taking people from the hotel, right? You prepare for, I was always at, presentations, just in case they went short. I always told our recruiting staff, if anything goes short, I got you. I got you. There were some places at University of Houston, I did a couple of presentations. At Kansas, I was in every presentation. And at Baylor, I did a few. And so always wanted to let them know that I had them. Now, one big thing I did do at the University of Houston was student host. So I was there to pick the host for the players. So I would sit in this recruiting meeting and listen to what they would say about this recruit, where they're from, what position they are, different things about their background, and I would get them with our players. Now, some people wanted to get players with other players because of hey, they play the same position or they're from the same area of the city. But it was like, hey, no, let's pair them correctly. So one person I did, there was this young man who was a rural cowboy, and he loved horses, and we were going to pair him with somebody else. I was like, why don't we pair him with Ed Oliver, who plays for the Buffalo Bills? Ed's from, north side of Houston, but he loves horses. And they're like, oh, that's not going to work. I'm like, yes, it is. It is going to work because he loves horses, and actually did work out for us well. So I was able to pair people off more personality than position, or like they say, hey, these two kids are from the same city. Awesome. Sometimes it works. Sometimes like, hey, this person fits a little better with the profile I'm giving. So I was able to do that. So a lot of communication with student athlete host, texting them, hey, get back, curfew, different things like that. And then the next morning it shows we got wake up call, breakfast, academic presentation, different presentations there, photo shoot. Once again, I'm around helping depart for Cullen Oaks. So that was the apartment complex that our athletes stayed at. I had a lot of connections at Cullen Oaks from being an RA during my time as a student at the University of Houston. So had a lot of connections. We were able to get rooms. Then we went to Lucky Strike and all this different stuff, rest and relax. So yeah, I'm just here, just listening. What are parents saying? What are they saying? What are they needing? What are they doing? Different things like that. I'm looking for that. So that's that. And it ended on Sunday with FCA reflection, optional, breakfast, things like that. And then they met with the head coach. So that's another one there. The big thing there is if you look at that, they had nothing said Ed Jones be here, right? I was helping the recruiting staff. I was around, but I was always prepared. If I needed a presentation with a PowerPoint in my office on the spot, whatever. So you stay prepared, but you're always looking. I always want to look at, okay, where can I be? Where can there be confusion? Where do they need more help? Where do they need more help? And so I might go, okay, well, sweet, awesome. All right, well, let me drive here and get there ahead of people so I can hold the door or set things up or talk to people, or let me jump on the bus for this so I can talk to these parents. So you always want to be prepared to just help there. Once again, if you're on a recruiting staff and you love when your player development staff does things like that, press the like button and share this with someone. All right, let's move to the next one here. All right, so this is one I really, really like, super detailed. You can see there's different meetings. Once again, I'm looking, same thing. I'm looking for where's the spot? Where's the spot where I can be? Okay, where can I be? Can I talk to them about steak 48? If a parent asks around 3 o'clock, what are we eating for dinner? Hey, steak 48, this is what they have, blah, blah, blah. We're going to Top Golf, this is what they do. So you're just trying to stay ahead, right? Just trying to stay ahead. Different things there. Once again, here's more position meetings, departed for Icon Housing, which was across the street. Can I get the carts ready? Can I help out? There's free time there for the recruits. And all right, once again, there's more here. So there's more here, right here with things that different there. Once again, you just want to look and see where you can fit. I would look at this and say, what questions can I answer? Parent may say, what's LT Info? Well, what do they eat there? All right, this is what LT Info's, menu looks like. This is what Eddie V's looks like. So once again, just adding or answering as much as I can, providing as much value there with this. Here's an OV layout from my time with KU, and I just love the different ways people do things. Once again, Friday, you're seeing where people are. Okay, cool. This is where they're coming. We have the social. So that social was something we did in our facility. So I had 1 hour and 15 minutes to kind of go around and talk to parents about what they need, what they needed to know. It was really, really great to meet people. We had breakfast the next morning. We apartment complex deal. Once again, some of you all who have seen this or in recruiting or in the role, you've seen this before. So one here, now you see my name, okay, Ed Jones. I had lunch at the Chancellor's Lounge. So they would come from weight room to lunch. I had an hour to just mingle with the parents. So I was there for lunch. I was set up what chairs worked. We have enough cold waters, different things like that. Now, Ops has already done that. A lot of on campus, they've already done this, but I'm just double checking. What do we need? Maybe people need gum. Let me go to my office and grab some gum, some mints, whatever it may be, and then hand them out. You just never know what sparks the conversation. I'm just trying to make people feel at home while they're away from home. Then we're going there. So they're going to tour the indoor facility. Okay, now I'm leaving to see what I need to do to help for the basketball game. This basketball game was actually pretty. I still remember this. Pretty awesome. Texas Tech was really good. It was this dunk on the baseline. It was really, really nice. But we're looking at everything here, okay? So position coach meeting, we got dinner, different things like that. Once again, you're always looking to see where you can help. All right, see breakfast schedule there. And then we kind of got super detailed into which player eats with what player comes down at that time. So once again, that was just the detail. Shout out to the on-campus recruiting, the personnel, that whole department. They get so detailed. It's pretty awesome. You see temperatures here. That's another big thing with player development. High of 44, low of 25. All right, how can I help equipment get jackets? Can I keep jackets in my office? Can I have extra gloves, hats, whatever? Now they got to turn them back in. But can we have things for the parents as they are there? All right, here's another task outside of getting a player host. When I was at Baylor, I had to get the panels. Now, I did panels at the University of Houston. I believe I did at Kansas too. And the thing about panels is this is the one time where the coaches leave the room and the players that are on your team are allowed to actually get questions from the parents. Now, there's before, let me take off the share. There is a healthy go between of like how much you're going to let coaches know, how much do you keep it authentic to parents asking questions and players giving their true honest answers and it just being that. And so yeah, if anything's alarming, you let the coach know. But I've had coaches that are okay with it, like, hey, how'd it go? That's all they want to know. And I've had some coaches like, hey, what did they talk about? I'm like, coach, I can't, say that. Or I would have to say it in a way to where you don't want to lose that trust with your players. That's a big thing. You don't want to lose trust in this role. So I had to do panels. It was always pretty awesome. And what we wanted to do is we want to get players that were very honest, who number one did what we asked them to do, who were very honest about our program, and who parents who were outstanding athletes for us on and off the field, who gave great effort and wanted a lot of things done for them. So let's go back to that share at Baylor. This is what I did there. And so you see I had all the players, so I would have it by major, position, and then state where they were from. And then, hey, here's a format for panelists. Here's questions. Why'd you pick Baylor? How'd you balance athletics and academics? And so we did dress code, all that. And then we had different panel here. Sorry, this is what this panel looked like right here. These are the 4 I was going to do at this time. Here are the 4 at 5 o'clock. And once again, I'm basing it off different things, like what players are coming in at the time. So on-campus recruiting personnel, they've already told me who's coming in. And so I'm doing it that way. And so I'm going there with that. So, here we go. We got these 4. We got these 4 on Friday. Then we got Group A. That's the following weekend. Group A, 2 Group A's, and then panelists. That should be Group B, but this panelist bullpen. So these are 2 guys. Hey, I got them in the bullpen. But you can see here were our players. These were players who did it right. A lot of captains, different things like that. A lot of plethora or a variety of majors that they had there. But that was another thing I did in a role, which was the panelists. If you need any help with this, you see this in recruiting and you're like, hey, man, we need help. What else did you do? Please reach out. Please reach out to me. You can email me info@btfprogram.com, or you can find me on social media. I would love to help you all programs. Yeah, this information, I just really, really like it. All right, so that's official visit. So now we're going to move into our next visit, which will be unofficial. So this may be a junior day, different things like that. You're going to see it here. All right, so let's move to those now. All right, so with this junior day here, you see it's a junior day. I scan this in. So, but big deal on junior day, it's unofficial. So you can't dine them and all that stuff. You really get an opportunity to get juniors on your campus and other recruits and just talk to them about your program. So we had registration there, welcome video, staff introduction, traditions, position coach meeting room. We had a basketball game there. So we played men's basketball, play Oklahoma State. Then we had lunch, and after that, academics. We toured a different business building, and then it went on till about 4:45. We had a photo shoot and different things like that. So it's an unofficial visit. So it's not, we can't keep them overnight. We can't feed them, but it's a great opportunity to show your campus there. So you see dorm. You always want to show the dorm, campus tour. We had the Unity Council panel, once again, helping out with the panels. Strength coach talking to them, athletic trainer, nutrition, academics, their coaches, different things like that. So you're getting them on to kind of prime them up. These are kids that you're probably going to offer or have offered. You're getting them ready for that official visit down the line. So very similar to the official visit for you all that are looking for similarities there. And here's something that's pretty cool. Here's something I would do. And I would always tell people, like, take notes on what the junior day look like, how I can help you in the role. So you're about to see me a lot of scribble scratch from this right here, but this is how I see things, and this helped me prepare for the next junior day. So Whenever it's junior days, take time to make notes. I would take the paper and just write notes. So you can see here, $8 per person. So once again, we can't feed them. They've got to come. So this is junior day. We did February 4th, and I'm just writing notes, right? We got meet and greet. We got the breakout session. We got recruiting stations. So we did about color-coded headshots, jerseys, so they could rotate. The one thing about that I realized being at KU from University of Houston is that being in Houston, the mass amount of recruits that will come to a junior day, like we had a lot of people come. KU, we a little less prospective student athletes, recruits came because of location, but at Houston, it was popping. So we would kind of get our Houston kids together, DFW kids together, and East Texas kids together. Had different things there. So they're looking at, of course, our recruiting stations. You see it here. We got them in the club. We got them in the locker room. We got them walking through the tour, campus tour, different things like that. So it was a lot. So I wrote a lot of notes here, like, this is what we need to do. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to get better. So once again, in a role, don't take these recruiting opportunities if you're in a player development role as just like, oh, I'm just, I gotta show up. This is a great opportunity to provide value and really, really help the program. Now, before we go to the game day visits, we're going to talk about the spring game. This is another visit. Now, spring game is a lot. Everywhere I've been, the spring game is not only do we have official visits, we have unofficial visits, but we also have our signees coming in. So signees was the number one thing for me because these are kids that we sign who I need to get with, and they're coming to get physicals. They're coming in to register. They're coming in to do a lot of different things. We always wanted them back. We tried to make an event for them. Once again, we can't pay for them. At the time, we couldn't. And so we bringing them in, we're bringing their families in because we have a lot of information to give them. So we had signees on campus, getting all that done. And they're, once again, physicals, blood work, whatever they need, making sure they finish their application, everything that we didn't touch maybe on official visit, we're doing there. And so that was huge for the player development role is the signees there. But then here you see a spring game. We had an official visit. This is when I was at KU. We had an official visit and an unofficial visit going on, plus the signees. It was a lot. It was a lot. So Friday night, our spring game was on Saturday, Friday night. We get them checked in the hotel, dinner. They're doing breakfast. They're going to video, academics. They're touring. Once again, you've seen this before. A lot of these things here, Jayhawks and NFL meet and greets. We had some NFL players that were there for the game, different things like that. Team warm-up, spring game, Rick Ross concert, which was incredible. And then Sunday, we got them out. All right. So that was one group there. Now, unofficial visit. So these are kids. Once again, this is like a junior day. So we're bringing in kids just to come, and they're not official, but they're taking, most of this is academics, photo shoot, getting dinner that they would have to pay for, team warm up, and they could stay for the Rick Ross concert if they wanted to. So they were check in, and then you see here's the signees. You see the signees. Academic transition presentation, newcomer meeting with Tyler Oker. Shout out to Tyler Oker. Compliance, athletic training, strength and conditioning, nutrition, team warm up, all that. Rick Ross. So it was a lot. It was a lot that day. I think we came to conclusion. I think everybody has to do it this way. I mean, honestly, it was a lot though, because we wanted to do official visit with the Rick Ross concert. It was good. It was a success. It was just a lot, but the spring game can look like that. Two big things that definitely will happen during the spring game if you do not do an official visit. You're going to have your signees. You're going to have an unofficial visit with recruits there at the spring game. So that was a lot at KU. Shout out to everybody who took care of that. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a roll call at the end of this podcast to give a shout out to every single person I work with in recruiting at every university I was at. A lot of great people. Interns, I can't do all the interns. I'm going to forget y'all. But staff members, definitely appreciate everybody I work with in those areas. So going to give a roll call because I don't want to miss anybody. If I miss anybody, please charge it to my head and not my heart. All right, now let's move to the last of the, oh, sorry, not the last. We got to look at game day. We have to look at game day. What does game day look like, right? What does game day look like? And then we will go to camps. Let me pull up a game day. We should have a game day here. All right, we're going to pause right here while I go get a game day. All right, we're back. This is a game day itinerary. This is when we played Arizona. So this, once again, is recruiting. And I am looking at this. How can I help? We're going to have recruits on campus. I got players. I'm coming from the hotel. How do I balance both? Once again, I'm there to help recruiting. If you got anything, you're like, this is a lot about recruiting, because you have to help them. Okay, you have to help them. So you see different things there. So recruiting staff comes at 7, ambassadors arrive at 8. So ambassadors and interns. So had our interns over here. Shout out to our interns. I'm gonna give them a little shout out right here. Michelle Aniki, Ari Garza, Travis Lavallee, Barbara Medina, Frank Stanball, Daytrice Thomas, Candace West. We also had Carl Williams and others. But their names right there. So shout out those interns there. But recruiting staff shows, we're here. Shout out to Joe Alcozer. A lot of this stuff is with Joe. You can see the weather there. So scattered thunderstorms. Being in Houston is not a great thing, but we were there. But it has everything. Once again, it's like I said, it's kind of self-explanatory. You need to see where you, if you've not signed up for your tickets yet, that was me, right? Jones, hey, if you have not signed up for your tickets, come and find me. So we had to make sure they were signed up for tickets to go in the game. So we would lead. I look for my name. I'm leading the group up to goal line. So normally I would highlight wherever I saw my name just so I could help. So just once again, we're all in the indoor practice facility. You're sitting there, you're helping Perry, talking to people, just relations, all relations. So we had some stuff here. Joe, I always love that Joe did this. Communicate. Staff will eat after IPF is cleared. Meet and greet all guests. Assist with recruiting game day ops, win, lose, post game scenario. We had to be prepared. Assist with late arrivals. So this was big, just letting people know what they needed to do. And once again, I was there just enjoying the opportunity to be around recruits because these recruits become players. Parents become parents of players. Like they become part of your program. So this opportunity. So game day is a little more, I don't want to say lax because that's not the word. It can be the same thing because you're on the field for a certain time. You got to get off the field. They're in the section. There are certain things you got to be prepared for. But at Houston, like I said, we had so many people come to games. So that was a lot there. But yeah, so had to get him off the field 10:45. But yeah, self-explanatory. Once again, I'm making this podcast for those who are in a role so you can just and want to get in a role so you understand the value you will have to provide recruiting. It will not always be you and programs that you have for players. These are your future players. This is the best time to start sowing the seeds for the impact that you're going to make in the role. Okay. And then the last one here, last thing we'll look at is camps, and then we'll get moving here soon. And if you are liking this, if you're listening, if you're learning, you're like, wow, didn't think about all this. Please give a like. Please give a like to this video. Please subscribe or share. Please subscribe or share. So this is the last thing we'll look at is in regards to visits or probably other visits I'm missing. Like when I was transitioning out of it, they had something called evaluations where people can come on. Let me look at my list, make sure on this spring game, junior day, unofficial visits, camps. Yep. So I may be missing another visit, whatever that may look like, but these are the major ones here. So this is camp. All right, so mini camp. All right, so mini camp. Think of a huge practice. It's like a huge practice, with a lot of kids that are there trying to get scholarships. So one thing I always do, I highlight my name. I try to highlight my name. I think I scanned this one in. You can see the highlight there. So there's different things, but here is you're getting campers, just can't. I mean, it's camp, y'all. It's a lot of kids in Houston. We had a lot coming to these camps. And so what we're doing is we're trying to make it as efficient as possible. We got to get height, weight. They got to run a 40. They got to do drills. They're doing a lot of different things. So how can we help? I was here in the pre-registration line. So now I'm able to sow seeds. I'm able to talk to players. I'm able to talk to parents. I'm able to, if someone's like, hey, aren't you the guy? Y'all did the career stuff? Yeah, I could talk about it. Or you director of player development. Or if I saw him at a game or brother, sister, whatever, family member that I knew. I was from Houston, so I knew a lot of people, but you could kind of get to warm people up there. So this was pre-registration, so they've already registered. So you don't have as much tension as you may have in a walk-up registration line. So then you get them here, you want to get them out, get them in, get them out, because registration field setup is complete at 2. Okay, registration ready. Registration begins at 3. And camp welcome starts at 3:45. So we're trying to get people out. All right, registration 45 minutes, get downfield, get them stretched. All they need to do so the coach can talk to them. They're running 40s, like I said. So you have the lines there. I'm a line OG. So basically, I'm sitting there helping people stay in line. Hey, your number's this. You got to run at a certain time. Hydration break is huge. You want to make sure that they are hydrating. You need to get water. You need to get this. You need to do that. They're going to not want to do it. You have to make them do it, especially in the Houston heat. Look, hey, come on, y'all. All right, so we got closing remarks and then camp concludes. I got some notes there. one thing that was really, really big, I see myself right there, is knowing where all this was. They did a lot. Joe Alcozer and others, when I was at University of Houston, did a lot to get all this stuff squared away. And so they're telling you where you need to go. This is where you need to go. This is what you need to do. And so once again, you are going here, finding out where all these things are. The more you know, the more it helps, because the more I knew where people were, the more I can help parents. If a parent is looking for their athlete, they say, hey, where's my athlete? I can tell them your son is here. Your son's in the indoor. Your son's on this field. That helps. And you can have a conversation with the parents as you're going there. How you liking the camp? How you liking Houston? What are your thoughts? What position does your son play? You just learning stuff, right? So that's things there that can help you with camps. All right. So I'm gonna start giving a shout out. I'm gonna do this off the dome. So if I miss anybody, I am sorry. But at the University of Houston, I work with Derek Chang. I work with Alex Brown. I work with Preston Pearson. I work with Bobby Merritt. I work with Albert Garcia. I work with Nina Balloon. I work with Grace Muscarello. I work with Joe Alcozer, who I brought up. I work with Tim Takel. Who else do I work with? Oh, Vince, my guy, Coach Vince Marshall. We were recruiting. I think I got everybody there. I don't want to miss anybody. We had a lot of interns. I highlighted some of the interns there. Let me think back. I think Brian Carrington. Oh my God. Brian Carrington, Weston Zernical, work with them too as well at the University of Houston. At KU, Dave Shoemate, Will Redmond, Drew Hickson, Aaron Dunson, now Aaron Zernical. Yeah, so I got to work with Weston and Aaron. It's pretty cool seeing them, the Zernicals. Congratulations to y'all. Megan Mueller, Hannah Tortolot. I work with Tyler Oker. Evan Norman. How can I forget Evan? Come on, Evan. Evan Norman was at KU with me. Shout out to Evan. Evan did a lot has done a lot for the Player Development Summit. So I appreciate you, Evan. And then at Baylor, Larry McDonald, Landry Walsh, Vince Ginta, James Blanchard, Brian Nance. Oh, I can see his face. Aaron Hunt. I worked with Cody Belair for a little bit. Now work for my guy. I can see his face. Oh my God, that's gonna bother me. That's gonna bother me. Oh, I can see his face. Connor Morgan. Who else? I don't want to miss anybody. Yeah, that's the group. But yeah, so those are people I work with. If I miss anybody, charge to my head and not my heart. I should have made a list. But I gotta get out of this room. It's Labor Day. Gotta renovate. But those people, I just want to say to all you all whose names I mentioned, thank y'all so much for all that y'all did for just helping player development, allowing me to be a part of, different things we did there. The people who ran the departments when I was there, Derek Chang, Bobby Merritt, Preston Pearson at the University of Houston, Dave Shoemate at KU, and then Larry McDonald, Vince Ginta at Baylor. Just really appreciate you all as professionals. Y'all did a lot. I learned a lot from y'all. And so, yeah, let's rock it. Let's keep it going. So awesome. That I had to do the roll call because I didn't want to forget.
That's a lot of visits. Those are a lot of opportunities for athletes to be on your campus. So hopefully that helped you. If it did, you know what to do. Click that like button. The third thing we're going to talk about, number 3. And I realized I have a lot more space on this board than I thought. It's communication. Communication and recruiting from the player development role. We're going to talk about what you can do, what you should do, how you can get things going in the player development role in regards to communicating with prospective student athletes, coaches, and all that. Once again, this video is to teach you in player development how you can provide value to the recruiting process, because you're going to have to do it. So you know what to do. You know what I'm about to say. Let's run to the computer. Let's dive deeper. I'm running like a bull in a pickup truck. He's running.
All right, so now we're going to talk about communication. Now, this part about communication is something that is huge. This is something that you can do a lot of without needing to be around an athlete to get things done. Here's one video I will show you. I can show you all a lot, but if you follow this page, you have seen a lot. But this is one thing. This video right here was something that we did to really truly show what we did in player development. And I think we did this during COVID, like just basically like, hey, this is what we do, but it ended up being really, really good. And it was something that has stuck with me as I've transitioned out the role and made me very proud of what we have done or what we did at KU. So I'm gonna show you this video from KU, and it's talking about what player development is. And so, excuse me, these are the things that you need. These are the videos you need to help do this in communication, because there's a lot you can do communicate. We talked about those different calendar pieces where you may not get a recruit. You always have to make sure you're doing something to let them know what you do in a role. So let's look at this video.
Oftentimes, student athletes struggle with their identity past the game of football. So we created a program that helps them find their purpose through personal wellness, community impact, and career development so that they can achieve generational impact. Generational impact is the main purpose of the entire program. Yeah, so the biggest deal for me to see is when you're between the ages of 17 to 22, when you know someone counts on you, you make better choices. Our guys first of all, see that it's bigger than them, and they see how people perceive them, how when they enter a room, it can lift the room. And so generational impact isn't only for their own families, they can have generational impact on others. So the little kid, the second grader, right, who our player takes time with at recess and sits there and plays with them, or art class, whatever it may be, that kid's impacted for the rest of their life. And so we really want these guys to see the impact they can make, so when they're done with football, they can continue to be those citizens that will impact their communities that they move into from here on out and care about others and where they are in life. A perfect Beyond the Field program for me would consist of our players not only getting their degrees, but having their placement, their career placement in hand also. We want to create a ripple effect, put in the time now, put in the work now to set those that come behind us up for just better chances in life.
Awesome. I hope you enjoyed that video. That's one way to communicate. But when you're communicating, you want to make sure they know what you're doing. Another way to communicate is mailing. We used to write cards everywhere I was at. We wrote cards. So I would write to the guys, hey, I'm Ed Jones, player development. Can't wait for you to get on campus for you to make an impact. I remember you said this, whatever, whatever. So mailings is another one. Using social media, not just a video, but hey, pictures. This is what we did. This is what we did. Player testimonials. This is how we're getting things done. Going around the campus, maybe Instagram, day in the life. Hey, let's go a day in the life of player development. This is what I do for the athletes. Get that done. We were mic'd up. We did a mic'd up session at Baylor where I was mic'd up for some things. It was pretty cool, but you can communicate so many ways with players and parents, messages, throughout messages, give tips. I've seen people give motivational tips. Coach James Chaney does an incredible job of this at Colorado, giving tips to parents, not only recruiting tips, but player development tips. He does it on Instagram. He does it on Twitter. So you want to go and communicate. Those are all communication touches. Some schools do a great job. Talking about Colorado, where Coach James Chaney is, they did a whole deal on what he does in player development. I know that the University of Texas highlighted what Kevin Washington does. I know the University of Florida highlighted what Savannah Bailey does. University of Nebraska highlighted what Gus Felder does. So, you want to make sure you're communicating. Podcasts. If you can get on a podcast to talk about what you do, that's huge, because you can send that to a recruit. You can send that to a parent. I'll get on a roll. I'm about to start interviewing a few more people in a role here. But that's huge as well. But you always want to communicate what you're doing and the value you provide to those in a role. Always take advantage of the opportunity to communicate. They don't have to be on your campus. You want to communicate player development. Even you want to communicate what you can do for the player. When I was at the University of Kansas, there was one player who wanted to do financial. So we found out, we made a whole plan. This is your plan when you get here. So I was really excited about that. I was able to connect a lot of dots, connect alumni, different things like that. And that was awesome. They handed it to the recruit. He was like, whoa. And so, that's another way of communicating, because at the bottom it's going to say, hey, Ed Jones, Director of Player Development. If you have any questions, you can reach me here. So you always want to communicate in recruiting, not only with the recruits, but with the parents, and then with coaches and how we do things. At the University of Kansas, we had a coaches clinic. They asked me to speak at the coaches clinic. I talked at the coaches clinic and I said, hey, this is what you can do for player development to help your program right now. This is what we do. Maybe you can take something from it, but you're always communicating what you do in the role, because the more that people know what you do in a role, the more you can communicate. It helps your recruiting staff, your personnel staff to get things out, helps your coach to help the program. Trust me, it helps them so much. And they are able to use you in more ways than even you would think. So communicate, always communicate. If you need tips on communicating, hit me up. Like I've always said throughout this whole thing, reach out to me.
There it is. A lot of ways to communicate, a lot of ways to have messaging and provide value from your role to the prospective student athlete, their coaches, parents, and all that. Once again, we want to provide a lot of value. And if you want maximum value, you need to check out the Player Development Guide book. The link is in the show notes. If you think I'm giving you information now, go check out that book. That book has everything I used in Beyond the Field program when I was in the role. All right, last thing we're going to talk about today are tips. Okay, so I'm going to share some tips with you, additional tips. Okay, some of you all have already watched the 100 tips of player development that I gave. You can find that right here. And in that, I gave 10 recruiting tips. Actually, not only can you find that episode, you could download a free document of 100 tips of player development. It's in the show notes as well. A lot of resources in the show notes. Check them out, download them. Y'all get them. Let's go. But anyway, I shared 10 recruiting tips in that document. And so we're going to dive in deeper into that document and also the 10 recruiting tips that I shared there with you. So y'all know what to do. We're going to run to the computer. So I'll see y'all there. Let's go.
All right, the last thing I'm going to share with you are tips, some recruiting tips. We'll talk about it. Maybe you've heard some of these. There's some new ones, but this is from my 100 player development tips document that I created. That document, you can go to your show notes and download the document and watch the video that goes with it. So the video, I went in more detail, but you have the document. You can download it in the show notes. It can be yours today. These are 100 tips of player development, and I dedicated 10 of them to recruiting. So let's jump into those 10. Ooh, hold on, wait a minute. There we go. All right, so here are 10 recruiting tips. Number 1, create a face sheet. This is going to help you so much on all those visits. The official visit, the unofficial visit, junior days, game days, spring game. Create a face sheet so you can know who you're talking to. And I wasn't skilled at it. We had somebody that was really, really good at it on our staff, every staff that I've been at. And so I would ask, hey, who can make a face sheet? Maybe sometimes it's a GA doing something for another coach, but you get a face sheet, you have their name, where they're from, some quick blurb, and you keep it small, just so you can look at it as people come into your room. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Sometimes we put parents, guardians, or whoever is visiting with them name on there. All right, cool. Miss Sheila and Mr. John. All right, perfect. Boom. A creative face sheet is going to help you. Just you can make it as big as you want to. I'd say keep it in your pocket or foldable, but that face sheet is going to help you big time. Have a plan ready for on-campus visits. We talked about this a lot when we talked about visits. I was always prepared. Sometimes they were like, hey, you need to present. Sometimes they didn't tell me I needed to present, but I was always prepared for whatever. If they pull the presentation, I'm not going to do a full presentation. Well, I was prepared to talk to parents. Whatever it is, I'm telling you, I've literally had a situation where I was in my office getting something done with a player, and someone came in and was like, hey, coach, so-and-so has an emergency. He's got to be somewhere. Can you present to this family in 5 minutes? Absolutely. Bring them in. So you always want to be prepared. Third tip here, talk to coaches about player development. Talk to the coaches, talk to your coaches, talk to their coaches, just talk. We just talked about this in communicating. Let people know what you do. But I always want to let my coaches know what player development is. And I kept it simple. 3 things. We're going to take care of the player. He's going to take care of the community. We'll take care of him after he's done playing. That's that. I kept it at that. If they wanted more, I would dive deeper. But I just wanted them to have 3 things when they go in. Hey, we got a guy named Ed Jones. He's going to take care of your son. Perfect. That works. That's all we need. But talk to your coach about player development. Some knew more than others because they wanted to know more. And if you find a coach that wants to know more, dive in deeper with that coach about what player development is. That coach may be the next head coach to hire you. I'm going to say that again. That coach may be the next head coach to hire you. So dive into player development. Create a player development plan to give to coaches on the road. We talked about it once again. We talked about that earlier on the road. We're going to let's say it with me. We're going to take care of your son. He's going to take care of the community. We're going to take care of him after he's done playing. We'll say it one more time. Say it with me. We're going to take care of your son. He's going to take care of the community. We'll take care of him after he's done playing. That was something I gave to coaches. You heard earlier about a specific coach who wanted specific things for a player, And I built that out for them. So coaches would come and be like, hey, Jones, I'm going to roll. Can you do this? Absolutely. But once again, they knew I could because the tip before was I talk to coaches or communicate with them. So help your coaches out. They will love that. Create a player development presentation for recruiting visits in person or virtual. So I talked about that, the presentation. If you want to know more about that presentation, I will walk you through what I did the presentation. I may do a workshop on that. I'm still trying to figure that out, but that presentation was gold. But in virtual, what I did in virtual, which is really cool during COVID, was I always found out what or what was something that was special to the player, right? And I would dress up. Like one Sunday, we had someone from down south, the Bible Belt, and they had just came from church. So I dressed up like a deacon. I had the suit. I had the glass of water with ice with the towel on top. All the coaches used to laugh. You can ask some of the coaches out. If you know anybody I work with at KU, they'll tell you I had a lot of fun with those virtual presentations. But it was just having fun. You want to have fun. You know, COVID wasn't a great time for everybody. Wanted to have some fun, but I also talked about what we're going to do in player development. Talk to parents during recruiting visits. At the University of Houston, I have an incredible story, which I've told multiple times. There was a parent who told me, we had her son there as an offensive tackle, and she told me, we were just talking, her son was 6'7", she was 6'3", she was taller than me, and might have been 6'5". And she was like, hey, Jones, if my son sits with the O-line coach again, we're not coming. She said, I hope you're getting what I'm putting down. She wasn't rude. She was just very direct. She said, I don't want my son to come here and play O-line, gain weight, play O-line. He's a defensive lineman. So what I did was I literally went and grabbed our defensive coordinator, our defensive line coach, and our head coach. And they both like, oh, Jones, I said, y'all need to meet with me right now. So I told them all that. We situated it. The kid signed with us, University of Houston. The kid was a first-round pick of the New Orleans Saints. Shout out to you, Peyton Turner. So a great story there. Take copious notes during staff recruiting meetings. You literally saw that one document where I had a lot of notes. Well, I would do the same thing in recruiting meetings. What are they saying about this kid? What are they like? You know, what's the family background? Who can I talk to? Who's the person? You know, whatever I can garner, I would take notes. So once I could add that to either a face sheet or notes I had that I would keep in my desk. So before the student would come and meet with me, okay, boom, so-and-so is interested in entrepreneurship. Okay, I could reach out. All right, what are our entrepreneur? Oh, we're top 5 in entrepreneur at the University of Houston. We're top 5 in entrepreneurship, so I could talk about that. Okay, well, let me see if I can reach out to somebody before the kid gets here, blah, 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 see what they say. Boom, 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 done. So take copious notes in those recruiting meetings. They're going to be long anyway, so you might as well take notes. Incorporate player development into the recruiting department. This is something that I mentioned. Most of the people I work with, once again, if I missed anybody, charge to my head, not my heart. I mentioned people I work with at every place I've been at. And what you want to do is incorporate player development into the recruiting department. Oh, I forgot about the creatives. My bad. My creatives. Sorry. At the University of Houston, Adam Cordaji, Terrence Stewart. At KU, Ashley McCaffrey, Kevin Berg. At Baylor, I was with Jordan Burgess for a little bit. Addison Skaggs. Pat, my guy, Pat, I'm missing your last name right now. I can see it. Patrick Clayton, I believe. Then there was Ryan and Aaron and, oh, I can see his face. Kane, my guy, all you guys. So all the creatives, thank you as well. But incorporate player development into the recruiting department as well. So you want to talk to them about what you do. I really appreciated the person I probably talked about player development to the most was Dave Shoemate at Kansas. Me and Dave talked a lot about, you know, what we do, how we can help, what we can foster. I know Aaron Dunson would ask all the time. Evan Norman would ask all the time. I would talk a lot with James Blanchard at Baylor. And then, of course, Bobby Merritt helped me even get better at Houston. And shout out to Joel Kozer. We would talk all the time. But I will always talk about player development, what we can do, because it helps all the ways. Shout out to Dave Shoemate again at KU. He was the first person to allow me to talk to scouts. He was just like, hey, you know, come talk to scouts. They need to talk to you. Once he found out what I did, he was like, hey, you need to talk to the scouts. And so when you're talking or communicating, going back to what I said earlier, you can incorporate player development into the recruiting department. So yes, communicate. Let them know how you can help. Once again, if you help them, you're helping the program, it helps you, you get players in. It's the circle. I hate to say circle of life, but if recruiting is the lifeblood, player development can be the veins. You all work together for the life of the program. Create a game day engagement plan. So this we talked about game day engagement. This is, I was helping recruiting, but there's time when you're by yourself. So when they're sitting there watching the pregame warm-ups, I'm looking for who's kind of selling back. What parents maybe, I don't want to say not interested, but which parents are taking it in. Some parents just can't believe it. And so you go up to them like, hey, are you enjoying it? Like, oh, I can't believe. Say, well, how proud are you of your son? And so now I have this that I can tell the player, hey, your parents, your mom, your dad, your guardian, whoever, brother, sister, they're so proud of you. They're so proud of you. So I had a game day engagement plan. I'm gonna talk to parents. I'm gonna try and catch people at half or before they leave the game. Try and say hello. Try and say hello to every single person. Anybody I saw before. Hey, I remember you from the last game. Just different. It doesn't have to be detailed, super detailed to where you're a robot, but some type of plan during that. And then the last one, communicate with their circle of influence. Who are their people? Who are the people they communicate? Who are the people they go to? You need to know. You need to know because it's just a great opportunity to get that player development message, the program message to them, find out what's going on. You can read a lot of people to see, hey, maybe, this they're disinterested. So let's spend more time on this athlete, or they're interested. Let's do this, or they're on the fence. But communicating with that circle of influence can be huge. A lot of people forget the circle of influence because they're looking at the wrong person. Mom and dad may not always be circle influence. May not be mom. It may not be dad. It may be both. It may not be both. It may be a friend. It may be a teammate. It may be a coach. Find out who those people are. Find that full circle of influence. Who's always visiting with them. Who is always there. You need to find out who those people are. You need to communicate with them every time. Thank you so much for bringing him here. Thank you so much for sitting down. Thank you for braving the heat. Thank you for being here. How's your week? What other schools have you been to? What have you noticed? Communicate with them. Now, those are the tips there. Once again, if you want more of those tips, go and download it. It is in the show notes.
There it is. You got the tips. Put them into practice. Put them into practice. They will help you greatly. Once again, I created this video to bring player development and recruiting together. I wish I could shake my own hands, but together. So maximum value could be provided to your football program, to your coaches, to your university, to the parents, to the recruits. This process is huge. I don't want you all who are in player development to overlook the opportunity to build a relationship with a recruit from the time they step on your campus at a camp, possibly at 14 years old, till they graduate, possibly 21, 22 years old. You can build a relationship and have opportunity to impact such a pliable, and is it malleable, pliable? Such an impactful time of their life. You can impact it, you can sow seeds into it, and you can eventually see those grow. So in the role, it's a lot you can do in recruiting. Yes, you're gonna have a lot of tasks. Yeah, there's gonna be days you're like, man, recruiting again, I just wanna get my stuff done. But it's a great opportunity to not only show coaches what you can do, show other staff members what you can do, but to practically create impact in the lives of athletes. And so there it is. If you have any questions about recruiting and player development, please put them in the show notes. Once again, like this video and share this with anybody you know in recruiting, anybody you know in player development, anybody interested in one of the two. I think this video will also help those in recruiting to understand how player development can help you. And if you all made it to the end of this, if you want me to create a resource, a document, or a workshop, let me know in the comments. Say, hey, you need to make a document with all this together, or you need to do a workshop. I'll be there. Either way it goes, go out and create generational impact. I just ran into the deal. Go out and create generational impact. Don't wait, create that generational impact today. Hey, we out here recruiting, y'all. We got to recruit. We got to recruit, play up. We got to recruit. Y'all have a good one.